Have you ever found yourself holding your breath as you watch the dice decide your fate? Whether the shadow you're hiding in is just long enough, or if the danger that you've been trying to elude is about to find you and kiss you upon the cheek. Welcome to the world of tabletop RPGs, where stealth and espionage can be just as thrilling and intriguing as any scene from movies like Mission Impossible or the Imitation game. In video games, we often get a different angle, with the protagonist lashing out with stylistic and empowered strikes from the unseen, only to quickly disappear again, often like we see in the Assassin's Creed series, or the entertaining and endlessly comical Skyrim. Seriously. Pickpocketing hearts out of Cortis, or disappearing from guards by merely dropping below eye level? It's absurd, and I love it.
Have committed crimes against Skyrim and her people. What say you in your defense?
In tabletop RPGs, the application of stealth is often employed to gain a mechanical advantage. It's a numbers game. Yet it is so much more. It can add plot, build tension, and enrich the story. Stealth is multifaceted, so how do we take the essence we find in movies and video games and bring it into our tabletop sessions? How do we make stealth cinematic without the cinema? Before we begin to answer this, for all purposes in this video, let's quantify cinema as a collection of movies and video games. I know both mediums have evolved substantially over the years and cover a variety of ground, yet many video games can be seen as interactive cinema. So what differentiates cinema from tabletop role-playing games? The obvious distinction is motion picture, whether it's live action or rendered, but I don't think it's that simple. I find that there are two fundamental differences between these platforms. First, cinema is generally static and proactive. It's a carefully woven web of scenes designed to control every element of the narrative, every line of dialogue, every reaction of a character.
Are you talking about me?
Even in video games, we still see strict narrative confines, only there are far more outcomes to experience. The seemingly infinite randomization of roguelikes are still based on a set number of assets or combination of them, and your interactions with these elements are still controlled within preset parameters. Now, I recognize that we may see this change in the future with the evolution of AI, but that's a separate discussion. Tabletop, on the other hand, is generally fluid and reactive. Yes, there are rules that we follow, but they're more like the pirate's code.
We figured they were more actual guidelines.
Subject to change upon a whim. It's an unfolding story shaped by the player's actions and decisions in real time, without the restrictions of a script or programming. The second difference is of sensory delivery and receipt. Cinema often aims to deliver a fully realized visual and auditory experience. Of course, some things are left to speculation. Smell, for example. But we know so much with this platform. We see what the environment looks like, what the characters look like, and how everything sounds. In tabletop, we might have concrete references in images or miniatures or audio files, but the word itself is conjured in our minds. Our imagination is where the magic begins, where a group's collaborative experience is ultimately visualized through a few descriptive words and the voice of a storyteller.
Let's get started.
We can adopt the familiar techniques we see in cinema. In fact, we find detailed scene setting in all of our source and adventure books, those narrative text blocks. Or if you're like me and homebrew everything, you write them yourselves, or know enough about your word that you can improv in the moment.
You always know what to say.
Nail-biting scenarios and tension-building narratives are not just good storytelling, but imperative to cinematic stealth. Give descriptions of the creeping shadows in a candlelit room, the soft echoes of footsteps in the quarter ahead, or the distant murmur of the enemy. Give credence to the consequences that await the player should they fail. Accompanying your narrative with audio is a fantastic way to enhance your delivery and the weight of the moment. Introducing sound design into our tabletop games can be rewarding. We can actually hear their soft footfalls in the distance, or the plump of a masterfully loosed arrow as it connects with your targets. I've had a lot of fun using sound effects from things like Sirenscape, but you can use any soundboard that you feel comfortable with. Now, caveats, this tends to be a lot of work. It's an extra element to manage, and if your timing is off, it can really affect the mood. Trust me.
He failed. Badly.
Introducing background music, on the other hand, is far easier to incorporate and often an even more powerful influence upon the emotional feel of a scene. It can tilt the tone of a cinematic stealth moment from being serious and high stakes to something silly and inconsequential. Keep in mind that if you are publishing or streaming your sessions in any way, that you need to respect copyright laws for your songs that you incorporate. Now, whether public or not, the choice and cadence of music will impact your storytelling. While the Game Master is often referred to as the storyteller, I want to highlight that everyone at the table is a storyteller. I will always encourage the players to express their personal flavor. With stealth, for example, how do they employ it? How is their character feeling about the stakes of it all? Do they have anxiety? And if yes, is it manifesting? Perhaps a wobble in their arm or their legs, or a bead of sweat upon their brow. There are many avenues when it comes to stealth. Now, I've already mentioned the absurd antics that you can get up to in Skyrim, but I have to note that it also explores weaponizing. Yes, weaponizing pickpocketing by slipping poison to an unknowing NPC. We're not poisoning their food, but literally putting it into their pockets. In session, perhaps this could be a small vial that leaks a caustic or highly toxic substance. Depending on your word's level of technology, we can look towards the Fallout series, which has an achievement for sneaking a live grenade into an NPC's pockets. Results may vary.
Loading.
Early on in the 2006 film The Prestige, there's a magician that performs the fishbowl trick. He's an older man known for his enfeebled gait. He has great difficulty walking, and yet can make a fishbowl appear seemingly out of nowhere. This is not accomplished by stage trickery of rising objects, but through practice manipulation and sleight of hand. The trick is that he has the fishbowl with him when he starts the act. He's literally carrying it between his legs. He's not actually enfeebled at all, but people overlook it because their perception of the man defies that reality is even possible. Think of it as another way to approach ferrying cargo. Stealth is not just a skill, it is a story device. In games like the aforementioned Assassin's Creed or the Horizon series, there's a coup de grace, the blow of mercy, a single lethal strike. An incredibly fun ability to be sure, but when it comes to tabletop, in a game with so many mechanics that revolve around hit chance, hit avoidance, and health pools, it is incredibly broken and difficult to fairly implement. Even the Pokemon game series, which features turn-based combat like many TTRPGs, gives their one-hit KO moves a roughly 30% chance to hit, and will always auto-fail if the user is slower than their opponent. This is a mechanic that, if allowed, should absolutely be used sparingly, but due to that rarity and that power, it can be icing on the cake to a truly pivotal moment. Cinematic stealth in TTRPGs is a collaborative experience, with everyone at the table, or metaphorical lack thereof, contributing to the narrative and feel of the game. When you nail that heart-pounding suspense, the tension in the game space literally becomes palpable. It's a magical thing. Pablo Picasso is widely credited for saying, "Good artists borrow, great artists steal." And that is exactly what we're doing here. We see a masterful display of thrill and suspense, and we steal that and weave it into our own narratives. By taking pieces to build stealth for our worlds, we in turn get to be stealthy ourselves. Though, unlike the villains in our fantasy games, you should always give credit where credit is due. Speaking of, what's one of your favorite cinematic examples to pull from, and how do you incorporate it into your gameplay? Let's have a discussion. And remember, stealth is a wonderful mechanic, and a narrative device, but it will never fully deliver until it is brought to life. So until next time, keep your imagination active and enjoy gaming.